let's. I would be interested to hear what you guys have to say regarding She-Hulk and the possibility of it not falling victim to Disney MCU. As much as that is a stretch, but
you mean the MCU?
The MCU, yes.
Oh,
I can't really fully take that term. That's a. I feel like at this point it's a copyrighted term by FNT.
The thing is, it is the MCU. I mean, I would equate to Phase 4, which is when they really moved into the modern version of Marvel Comics, which has been bad for the last. It depends who you ask. Some say 20 years, some say 15, some say 10. Kind of had hope they would pull from Byrne's run. I haven't read it in forever, but it was a good run. But I know they kind of relaunched, which this feels pretty strong of. Before she got all no want be pretty, want smash thing.
Yeah.
So I have a feeling it's not going to necessarily be great, especially because they definitely kind of leaned into some stuff.
Yeah.
From the trailer I saw, the CG's not great. I saw people on Twitter defend it, which made me laugh because somebody had a picture of was it Yoda from the prequels?
Yeah.
And they're like, well, that was this big multi-million-dollar movie, whatever. And I'm like, it's 20-year-old technology.
Right.
So that's kind of a rough comparison. I always kind of hope these shows aren't going to be crap, but I always assume they're going to be, and then I prepare to laugh. So.
Yeah. It's just one of those things where the trailer, it flip-flops from being like, I'm like, okay. And then I'm just like, what? This is like, it's like one eye roll to the next. And there's like little things that I like want to make excuses for. But at the end of the day, I'm like, they've just made their own bed at this point. It just seems like whatever star power they put in there it won't get past the just bad writing at this point. I don't know. Like, it's not like Tim Roth is going to save this movie or this show, like I'm sure he's in it for an episode and that's about it. They probably shoehorned him into the trailer just so people be like, oh, okay, Abomination's back. Cool. Sweet.
But they also have Hulk in there. Can't remember the actor's name.
Mark Ruffalo.
Yeah. But he's definitely steering fully into the end game kind of broham version of Banner, which I was just like, geez. And I don't know how they're going to explain away. I thought he was stuck as Professor Hulk and his left arm was all kind of shriveled. So
yeah, there was the post-credit scene from Shang-Chi or Shang-Chi, whatever they need us to say, that like his arm was still in the sling. So I'm still not sure where this canonically takes place. But he obviously, his arm seems fine. It doesn't seem like there's any sort of,
he got better off screen.
Right. Yeah. Which, it's fine if that stuff happens. It's just weird when they have like, the post-credit scene shows Ruffalo in the sling and he's back to his normal form. And then, this shows him back in Professor Hulk form. I don't know, man. It's just weird.
You just had to pop a couple Adderall and chug what's that pediatric juice stuff you were drinking earlier?
Oh, Pedialyte?
Yeah, he just had to chug a gallon of that. He's fine.
I didn't know Adderall helped with healing, but good to know.
I mean, in comics, why wouldn't it?
I think you meant to say maybe aspirin, but all right.
Nah, let's go full Adderall.
He wants to tweak out and get hydrated. Let's do it.
What do you think was the low point of that trailer, if it's possible to, or no, let's not do the low point. What do you think was the high point of that trailer?
I would say the scene where like she actually becomes She-Hulk for the first time, like that was, I guess, fine. And Hulk does the two thumbs up, yeah, and then she starts to bust out. He's going, oh no,
yeah, that was cool.
Like that was all right.
She's stuck in that weird archaic machine. That was the only possible thing that they could figure out to transform her. I just thought that was a weird, like, saw blades. Like, really? Like, it just seems like a really weird thing to do. I love
Krill Drinker's comment about that. There's a multiverse where she didn't transform and Banner right. Straight up slices cousin into bits.
Right. Yeah. So, Nick, what do you think? What was the high point of the trailer for you?
I mean, I like the cameos. I kind of like that Hulk was there because it is reminiscent of when she became She-Hulk in the comics.
Mhm.
And there was a glimpse of it, like spoilers. Um, but she got in a car accident in the comic books, and she had
Right.
to have a blood transfusion, and her cousin was a compatible donor, and he wasn't sure if his blood was safe, and that's what gave her that.
Right.
And like, I didn't really like that they brought in like the fear anger kind of thing because she was infected with it, but it was different with her because the gamma radiation for Banner dealt into like a lot of his insecurities and his rage, and with her it was a completely different bag, and that's why she became this idealized version of herself. So
Right.
I kind of liked it was reminiscent of some of the old comics I read where because she was in that form all the time, like she continued to be a lawyer and did various things. And so that was kind of interesting. Like in the MCU, she's She-Hulk, like still being the lawyer, like that kind of pulled me back and was reminiscent.
Mhm.
Um, and then again, seeing Hulk in there and then seeing Tim Roth as Abomination back, because I thought he kind of got pushed away until recently. They decided to yank on his cord, and I guess for better or worse, Roth has an opening in his calendar, so that could be interesting because I
Right.
like Roth. So
Yeah, Roth's a pretty like special actor. Like it was cool to see that they brought him back. It was cool that they brought like it was cool seeing Abomination in the other like areas, and like seeing him in was it Shang-Chi? Wasn't he? Did he go? Was he in something else, or was it just Shang-Chi at this point?
I think
It
it's
was
just Shang-Chi.
yeah, just
okay.
Shane.
It was definitely cool to see him there, and not knowing if it was just going to be sort of like a teaser, or if they were going to actually bring him back, or if they even could because of like him being part of the Norton. Um, but I guess all that stuff sort of like folded into the same thing at this point. Uh, so it was really cool to see that he is going to be a part of it, however limited. Like again, my guess is they throw in Roth to sort of like pull people in with nostalgia. Because I think at the end of the day, this is definitely one of those bait and switches. Unfortunately, they're phasing out the legacy heroes to bring in the new team, which, like I
mean,
said in my review, these things are not necessarily made for us, the people who are longtime fans of series, and also for like it's time to pass the torch, is what it seems like.
I don't necessarily think it's a bait and switch because it is She-Hulk.
Mm,
It's not like
mm,
Loki, where Loki's not the main character, or other ones where like it's established it's her. You do have the jangly keys of these other characters who show up,
right,
but they're to kind of be decoration and additions to her story.
right.
So there are the keys that jangle for you to go, ooh, like Ruffalo and Roth are in here. They're pulling from these other materials. So it gives me an incentive to see it. And I wouldn't even necessarily agree with it's not for like the old guard because She Hulk's been around for
That's
80s,
fair. Yeah, that's
70s.
fair. Yeah, that's
So,
fair.
but again, I think it's not for the old guard in the regards of they are disregarding 50 years of comic book lore to tell stuff that came out in 2016 plus that people didn't buy. So
Right. That's the important part. It's like the comics didn't sell, but now they're gonna do what they can to resurrect whatever dead corpse is still laying around.
I mean, my overall thought is that this show's just going to be so meh. Like, it's not going to be awful. It's not going to be great. It's just going to be so mediocre. It's going to be forgotten a few months after it releases. I'd be surprised if they made a second season. Sorry. Like, I think
Yeah,
it's going to be a limited series, and that's it.
right.
And she's never going to be seen again, except maybe like after credit scenes or cameos.
I would disagree with that. I think She-Hulk, if there was ever a chance to like, I see this having a little bit more longevity than something like Hawkeye or Miss Marvel. Like kind of like what Snick was saying. I think the character has enough legs as far as the comic goes that I think people do want to see her. Like I think there's definitely parts in the trailer where I think, that's going to be kind of dumb. And again, I think a lot of the writing is not necessarily for me per se. Like not like not for the phase 1, 2, 3 people. Like I'm sure they're trying to rope other people in. They're trying to rope the female crowd in for sure. I do see She-Hulk having a little bit more, some more legs than some of the other ones.
I'm going to go into this one if I end up watching it. I've missed a lot of the MCU shows. I usually go in with the same mentality of kind of hope for the best, expect the worst. Of course, as a comic book fan, I don't want this stuff to be terrible. I don't have a lot of hope in the writers' room and the producers that are in this, but
Right.
I'll wait to see some reviews. I'll wait to see some more trailers. We've only had the one. She-Hulk could have legs. I mean, Ruffalo's getting up there. They didn't exactly cast a young guy.
Right.
Sadly, he never got his own movie. But I know I treat them all as a wait and see. So I'm
Right.
not black-pilled with any of this stuff, but hopeful. But yeah, we'll see.
Ruffalo had a good arc, though, I think, in general. Like, through the films that he sort of, like, co-starred in, I feel like he did have a decent arc through those. And, like, yeah, I would have liked to have seen some solo films, but, I mean, I don't know. I was a fan of the Norton verse of of Hulk, but I might be alone in that. God, I was going to say something. Oh, what really surprised me about this phase of Marvel was, I do like the limited series runs of these shows. I think it's a cool idea, because I think at some level we all want, like, sometimes you watch a movie like, oh, that was really rushed. I wish they had done like a multi-part like series on this person to get a little bit deeper into who they were, which I think is why like the Kenobi stuff appeals to me, because like I actually care about Kenobi. Whereas like this stuff, I'm just like, oh, like can we please stop already? Like, let's just make a movie. Let's get back to the movies, because that, I don't know, like there's even some requirements in movies. Like, you have to write it a certain way. You need to be as detailed as you can, but also keep it, you can't have a 3-hour movie every time. But this is just like, they seem to be abusing their power of having 6 or 8 episodes to like drag everything on. And I think it's hurting them at this point.
Well, I still have the theory that these are all spec scripts that they've held on to for years.
Yeah.
That they get, and then they get a writer's room and producers to hackney up a 6 or 8 part series. So they stretch out and fill it with fluff, and because some of them you get what the story is in there, and you went, wow, if they tightened this up, this could have been a decent movie.
Yep.
And especially with a lot of these, where all of a sudden there's like 3 or 4 episodes of filler, you go, ooh, all right, yeah, no, they've just, again, I think it's all spec scripts that they're just kind of low budgeting and
Right.
just kind of crapping out. So